I don't have to imagine what it's like to live as a married man without Christ, because for years I did. It's hard now even to remember exactly how many years. I believe it was maybe 5, 6 years of our marriage. We were technically married in the church. We had the official paperwork in line, but we were not at all committed to, to any kind of faith life at all when we were first married. And so all I have to do is to remember, rather than to imagine, what it's like not to have Christ at the center of your marriage. It was much more the kind of partnership model, and for a while that worked. It worked okay. I did as much of the cooking and cleaning, I think, and that kind of thing. And and it's great to cook and clean, and I'm good at it. But it was much more of a 50-50 kind of a thing. And that sounds good to people. It's all 50-50, but what about the other 50? Now it's a 100-100 thing, and Christ is calling us always to give completely. He gave himself as a gift to the last drop of his blood. And I think I thought of marriage as much more a matter of one of the things in my life that I give part of my time to. And I had a very selfish attitude without the model of Jesus there.
Well, having Christ the center of our marriage has really helped me, because I only became a Catholic about 8 years ago. And so now I see being a mother as having to be self-sacrificial as a good thing, rather than just a burden on me and just a drain on my energy. And I see my children as gifts instead of burdens, and I have to take care of them for 18 years. And it's been a total shift for me as far as how I see being a mother and a wife, and our family, having God at the center instead of ourselves at the center.
Like when we first got married, we didn't have Christ in our life, and we know the difference between Christ in your life and Christ not in your life. And I could see us, if we hadn't have found our faith, we wouldn't be together today. I mean, Christ keeps us focused.
I would say that very likely, if we did not have Christ in our lives, and if he was not the third person in our relationship, I would venture to say that probably we might not be married. I always say, by the grace of God, we still are married, because without him, I don't think we could have. We lived in the world, and we were of the world for a good amount of time. And it caused us to think much more about ourselves than us as one. And if we didn't have, God as the glue to keep us together, it would have been much easier to, when it wasn't fun anymore to stay married, to just go the way of the world and find someone else.
We've lived with Christ and without Christ. Marriage. There's no comparison.
Nope.
We're not going back. Okay? I wish there was a way of explaining, okay, the dimension, the depth, and the magnitude, okay, of what Christ introduces into a relationship. It's where the joy and the real essence of love exist. Okay, it is what you need to keep going. And when you begin to experience the love of each other, you begin to understand Christ's love for yourself, okay? And as you begin closer to Christ, you will begin to see the depth of the love that you have for your spouse. I don't see it working without it. It didn't work without it in our relationship. Maybe somebody can pull it off. I'm very uncertain.
Marriage forces us to confront our own selfishness. And as long as we're willing to do that, and we're willing to see our faults, see the things that are not Christed in us, that need change, then those are the things that are going to help us get to heaven, to work those things out, working out our salvation. And living with somebody for a prolonged period of time is going to force you to look at all of these things all of the ways in which we're selfish, in which we want to think about ourselves first and force ourselves to think of another person instead, our spouse.
I think that my spouse helps me get to heaven because it really helps me not think about myself. You know, putting him first helps me be less selfish, helps really perfect me. You know, sometimes when you think about the saints and, you know, people who are very holy, it's always about giving. It's always giving of themselves to others. And when you don't have a spouse, or if you don't have children and that kind of thing, it could be very easy to kind of be thinking about yourself and what you're going to do and your plans and that kind of thing. And giving of yourself really is the best way that I can think of earning heaven.
My spouse is my key to heaven. I had no idea what good judgment I had, because other than deciding to marry Jean, I didn't used to use a lot of good judgment. But he has helped me to become a better person, to want to be a better person. And the part in our relationship that has been difficult for me is he has held me to an accountability of making sure that whatever I say or do, if it's not in union with God's teaching, and he will remind me and help to force me to be honest with myself, because that was not something that I brought into our relationship. It's something actually that I had to learn.
I am certain that if I have any chance for heaven, it could not have happened without Joanne in my life. The changes that she's effected in me have truly made me a better person, and I would not have done it on my own.
My wife has helped me tremendously in my faith journey. And I think a woman has special gifts that help a husband. You know, men in general tend to be a little more hot-headed, a little more impulsive. And I think we fall into sin a little more easily than women do. We're very visual. And she is an example of steadfastness in her faith, has really kept me going along the same track as her.
I think in my own faith journey, Bill has strengthened me because he was not Catholic his whole life. And I've seen him learning the faith, and my faith has been renewed by learning it with him. And so it's been great because we've kind of been on a journey together. It hasn't been like, oh, well, I already knew all these Catholic things and you didn't. We've been learning together, and it's so exciting for us, and it really is something that's drawn us together because we love our faith so much and learning about it, that it's been great to learn together and grow together in that way.
Through our marriage and through the years of, I guess, constantly growing in my faith and realizing who I am and who I am failing to be, he's with me through it all. And he has stood by me as I find out basically my faults and I work through them. And he loves me through it all. He loves me through the weight gain. He loves me through everything. I can't describe. I mean, the love just keeps growing because he's made that vow, he's made that commitment, and he sticks by me through all the challenges. So yes, it's grown.